The President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has approved the appointment of a new board and management of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Of course, we all know the vital roles that the NDDC is playing, and we know the challenges in the Niger Delta. So we want to just make a quick x-ray of the new appointment now, the implications for Nigeria as a whole, especially for the Niger Delta as one key area where our collective wealth also comes from, just as it comes from some other parts of the country. And to take a look at that is Sam Orovwuje, who is Director of Policy Research and Development for Femi Wash Limited, owners of Souq News and Wash Radio. Sam, good morning. Good to have you.
My pleasure to be here, Aya. I'm blessed.
I wouldn't want to. Okay, I wouldn't want to start by saying as the son of the soil, but then that would be a bit, too direct on you. I've said it anyway. The Niger Delta, we know what it does. We know what it represents in our history, either of recent history or the very distant one. But then look at the reconstitution of the board of the NDDC. What is the significance of this to addressing the challenges of the Niger Delta? The new board now.
Thank you very much. Finally, a new board has been inaugurated for the Niger Delta Development Commission. But the core issues remain. Maybe as we progress, we'll be able to speak to some direct issues. But before we advance the conversation, it's important that the mandate of the NDDC was to provide some socioeconomic development for that regions that produce a greater majority of the national wealth. But since 2000, when it was initiated by the Obasanjo regime, there has been a lot of challenges. So to what extent can this new board bring to bear the master plan for development of the Niger Delta remain to be seen. So maybe as we advance the conversation, we'll be able to speak to specific issues in the Niger Delta. And proudly, I'm from the Niger Delta.
That's what I said.
So I understand the key issues because my community back home is an oil-producing community. So I can speak to those issues directly.
Okay, the good news is that there is a new board, because I knew that before this new board was constituted, there have been a lot of back and forth with the constitution. Sometimes the board is said to be constituted only for announcement to be made that that board was dissolved, and then so it was really an issue that dragged. But coming to the role of the Niger Delta Development Commission, and like the name implies, it's supposed to be a development commission for the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, which is mainly the oil-producing area of Nigeria. Looking at the project of the NDDC, how much of developmental activity have we seen in their work?
Thank you very much indeed. If you look at the investment made into the NDDC and what you see on ground is a far cry from the developmental projects. So the politics of it is what has been challenging in the last 15 years. We talked about the forensic audit of the activities of the NDDC. Those reports are not in the public domain yet. We had some other projects like the fiber optics project that was done in 2015. That project was abandoned after spending billions of naira. You had other ones for youth empowerment and development. So by and large, if you look at the core mandate of the master plan of developing the Niger Delta vis-a-vis what that commission has done, remains to be seen whether the commission has met the aspiration of the Niger Delta people. But in spite of these challenges, we have a few projects that has been done in the Niger Delta, but they need to scale up those developments in line with the master plan that was developed to bring the Niger Delta region to speed in line with other developmental agenda of the country.
Okay, in coming up with developmental agenda for the Niger Delta, there is talk in some quarters that maybe we need to factor in the genuine needs of the people by embarking on stakeholder engagement discussions. Yes, the NDDC is a body that is meant to represent the interests of the Niger Delta, but some are saying we should come down to the grassroots, because a board can only go as far as the knowledge that its members, have in their head. How much of a, grassroots engagement do you think should be done to ensure that we genuinely address the actual needs, the biting needs of the Niger Delta, as against the textbooks, needs that we read about all the time?
Thank you very much. That's a great contribution from you. The point here is that I would suggest the bottom-up approach to development. So the new board that has just been announced yesterday by the president, so they must get back to work as quickly as possible. And this stakeholder engagement that you talked about must be a priority for this new board, so that the developmental needs of the various communities within the Niger Delta is coming from the people themselves, so that we can really see the actual development based on the existing master plan that was developed to bring that region up to speed in terms of development and projects.
So what measures will ensure transparency and accountability and even governance of the NDDC? Okay.
For accountability, once the people are involved in terms of the developmental needs of each of those communities, then there will be stakeholders in terms of from the planning, from the execution of those projects to when those projects are delivered. That will bring about co-accountability. So let the people own their project, let them be specific to the kind of projects they want for their communities. Then they should be accountability partners to the commission in terms of the deliverable that is expected from the commission, so that they can take full ownership of their projects within the communities.
Okay, now the issue of environmental sustainability in the Niger Delta is a very key one that has attracted not just local discussions, but even foreign discussions on that. Every now and then we get to see videos, documentaries of the extent of damage that is done to the Niger Delta by the reason of exploration. This should be a front burner discussion, as it has been in the past. Now, what exactly should this new governing board be looking at to address the issue of sustainable environmental practices in the Niger Delta?
All right, the United Nations Environment Program already has an initiative, particularly with the cleanup of the environment. The Ogoni cleanup that started since 2019, not much has been done. So the new board should work in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Environment, the United Nations Environment Program, to see how we can clean up the environment on a sustainable manner, so that the ecosystems is not depleted as a result of exploitation and exploration of oil and gas in those regions. So it must be a collaborative effort, even from the community level. State government level should be involved, so that they be more accountable in trying to protect the environment. And United Nations Environment Project must work in concert with the NDDC, so that we can build our region in a sustainable manner, and that the ecosystems are restored and the devastating effect of exploitation is reduced to the barest minimum.
Okay, when we look at the projects that the NDDC has executed in communities in the Niger Delta, it's either block of classrooms, maybe some small buildings here and there. But looking at the funds that go into the Niger Development Commission, what is the capacity of the NDDC? Because even when they want to engage, or they have to engage with the community to have a need assessment done, people will only demand based on their knowledge of the capacity of the commission. What is the capacity of the NDDC?
No, within the framework that established the NDDC, I think the capacity is there. The politics in terms of how that place is run is what has been the major concern to the people of the Niger Delta. So the budgets and the money that are released, once they are tied to specific projects and the communities are able to take ownership of these projects and program, I'm sure development can come to the people. So the capacity is there, but the politics in terms of project delivery and the way projects are executed has been a major concern to the peoples of the Niger Delta. So the new chairman, Charles Ebie, who incidentally comes from Delta, must look at those challenges, particularly the forensic audit, and see how they can take that commission to another level and by bringing development to the people.
Okay, now let's just speak on the very last note from me here to the politics, because you mentioned that the capacity is there for the commission, but the politics of execution. I just took a cursory look at the list here. All of them appear to be sons of the soil, so to speak. Now, should the politics now be against them? Because whatever you do for the Niger Delta is for your own people. What should be the language we speak to their conscience to ensure that, yes, this politics, if it is played at all, is played in the favor of the Niger Delta, not in the favor of any individual member of this particular board? What should we speak to their conscience?
Well, it's a national commission. Incidentally, in terms of appointment, people from the 9 states, core states that produce oil form the board. But however, when you look at the national politics of it, there's been a problem. So what we need to do is that stakeholder engagement from the communities to hold their own people accountable in terms of the deliverable that they expect from them. Therefore, the new chairman must work with various communities to see the kind of projects they need, and they must execute the project in line with the expectation of the people of the Niger Delta.
Okay, so what would be the role of the NDDC towards youth, tackling the issue of youth restiveness in that region?
All right, they have various programs already. There was one that they did in 2019, and I'm sure that the new board should look at that and see how they can bring that to bear. They had a program for 200 youths in the Niger Delta in terms of training them in telecoms and other fiber technologies. They need to rework those projects so that people can benefit. So once the projects are well executed, then youth restiveness will be a thing of the past, because they will be meaningfully engaged in terms of those projects. They will act as contractors. They work with those schemes. Therefore, that restiveness will be reduced.
All right, thank you very much, Sam Orovwuje, Director Policy, Research and Development, Femi Walsh Limited, owners of Souq News and Walsh Radio, for speaking, though we didn't have so much time to talk about it, speaking to the issues in the Niger Delta with respect to the newly constituted governing board. Thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.
My pleasure, thank you.